folks, and welcome back to the Daily Racing Show here at RacePlazaMedia. Today, I wanted to take a look at NASCAR driver Rajah Caruth, who has just won his very first race in the Truck Series, a very historic race at that, because he's only the third African-American driver to ever win a NASCAR race of a national series. So I was a little bit curious about him to find out how he got started in NASCAR. So let's take a look at Rajah Caruth. So where best to start than the beginning? So let's dive right into it. He was born in 2002 in Atlanta, Georgia. However, he spent most of his younger life in Washington, D.C. Then in 2014, he attended his very first race at the Richmond Raceway. And then and there, he immediately knew that he wanted to be a race car driver. Now, how does one go about it? Especially he not having any immediate connections to racing. There was also at that point even less diversity and representation in the sport. So he had to, of course, figure out a way how he could join or find his path to become a race car driver. So immediately, of course, he consumed anything and everything NASCAR and racing that he could find. He watched all the shows, including Inside NASCAR, NASCAR Now, RPM Tonight, Race Hub, Trackside Live, anything that was available at the time, he consumed. And eventually, he figured out his route, virtual racing. Now, this is becoming a more and more, I wouldn't say common way for people to become race car drivers, but it's a little bit more accessible for a lot more people to have opportunities because, or since sim racing has evolved to be such high quality racing that it does indeed simulate real street racing a lot closer than, of course, it has in the past. But to a certain level, that the move from sim racing to car is a little bit, dare I say, easier. Of course, Rajah is not the very first person that went from sim racing to actually car racing. There's a lot of real full-time racers that we see in the real world as well as the virtual world racing. For example, we know Max Verstappen, we know Dale Earnhardt Jr. They both race on the real track as well as online. But then, of course, there's a lot of different drivers who have also come from purely sim racing and have made the transition to track racing, including NASCAR's very own William Byron. Rajah and his team have also made a short documentary about his journey from sim racing to his very first racing debut that you can watch. I have not as of yet found a way to watch it because I believe it's still in the festival circuit. It's called Outside Line and has been, from what I've seen online, been very, very well received in the film festival circuit. So I'm very much looking forward to it being available at some point for general audience members to watch it. But basically, it will follow Rajah from his sim racing times into his first times on the track. However, getting back into it, in 2018, he made his big iRacing debut. That same year, there was also the launch of the eNASCAR Ignite series, an iRacing championship series in which he applied for and also made his big debut in. It's also really cool to see if you ever check out his comment sections of any of his social media posts or any posts with him. Really, I've seen it all across the board while doing research for this video. People comment about competing alongside him or being destroyed by him on iRacing tracks. So it's really cool to see that, of course, he has put in the hours, but to see previous fans or competitors chime in and be really happy about his current success. So the eNASCAR Ignite series was established to create a more legitimate pathway from iRacing to NASCAR driving on track, with the winners or with the competitors competing for scholarship money. And luckily, he applied for it in 2018 during the first year of eNASCAR Ignite because he was already 16 years old, which is the cutoff for that series. Then in 2020, he applied and got accepted into the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. However, We all remember 2020 times were a little bit more difficult then. So unfortunately that hit him in the program as well. So the start was delayed a couple of months. However, during the delay, of course, he went back to his roots of iRacing. And not just him, a lot of people during that time where all of us were stuck at home went to iRacing. Professional racers as well as more rookies, anybody and everybody, of course, wanted to fill their time doing something while at home. So iRacing definitely, or online racing in general, took off very much during that time. So he did use his time very effectively and continued training before getting into actual race cars again. So let's talk a little bit more about the NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. It was created in mind for young, up-and-coming, talented drivers from a diverse background to support them and provide them with coaching, mentoring, and development to become actual drivers. NASCAR also offers a similar program for pit crews as well. The goal for this program is also to connect with or connect to talented drivers at the most earliest point as possible to provide them with the training and development that they need. So this starts with a youth development program that fields legend cars to race in the summer months in local races and shootouts. And the most talented drivers will be chosen to be part of the Rev Racing team in the ARCA Menard series. So that means that, of course, Rajah also in 2020, when he was part of the program, raced several races or short races in late models in the Carolinas during his time with the program. And due to his success during the program, he was invited in 2021 to drive in one of the cars of Rev Racing during the ARCA Menard series. Specifically, out of the 19 late model starts that he competed in 2020, he had 10 top 10 finishes, 3 top 5 finishes, and 1 win. During his first stint at the ARCA Menard series, he got 4 top 10 finishes, 2 top 5 finishes, and 3 wins, which also led to him winning an award in 2021. That year, he won the Wendell Scott Trailblazer Award, which every year is given to a young upcoming driver of either a minority background or a female driver in the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Series, specifically to somebody who is breaking barriers and paving a unique way up the sporting ladder. Then in 2022, he had his very first race as part of the NASCAR Xfinity Series with Alpha Prime Racing, who gave him his big break into the National NASCAR Series. And his first race, which is kind of a nice little callback, was at the Richmond Raceway, where he had seen his very first race. I think it's kind of incredible to know that he saw his very first race in person in 2014, went to iRacing in 2018, or competing in iRacing starting 2018. Now, in 2024, he had won his very first race and is a full-time racer. And on top of that, he also goes to college full-time, is currently finishing his last year at Winston-Salem State University studying motorsports management. So he has a jam-packed calendar, not only racing full-time, but also being a student. And from what I've been hearing and reading and watching online, he seems to be an incredible person on top of that. He's very humble, he is kind, he is polite, and really understands the eyes that are on him. And he's really embracing also the responsibilities of being a role model. And he honestly enjoys being the role model, being the person that he wished he could have seen back when he first fell in love with racing. So now in 2024, he's racing full-time as part of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, as part of the Spire Motorsports team and Chevrolet, in the number 71 HendricksCars.com Silverado. And after the first 3 races of the season thus far, he's currently in 4th position. And of course, as mentioned, he had won the race in Las Vegas, being the 3rd Black driver in NASCAR history to ever win a national series race. The other two were, of course, Bubba Wallace and Hall of Famer Wendell Scott. But his race win wasn't just historic for that reason, but also because his very first interview after winning the race was by Josh Sims, who had become the very first Black pit reporter in 2021. So it was an incredibly beautiful image to see them both at such high top level NASCAR positions on television. What an inspiration for many other future drivers and reporters, and just in general, what a great thing to see for the sport and racing in general. And on top of that, this year is also the 20th anniversary of NASCAR Drive for Diversity program. And out of the first 9 races, 4 were won by the program's alumni, which is absolutely incredible, and I think speaks to the success of that program. In general, I think it's absolutely incredible what Rajah has already done in his career, a very short spanning career. As mentioned, he made that decision that he wanted to be a race car driver in 2014. 10 years later, he has his first big win under the belt. I mean, he has many other wins already under the belt, but his first national win under the belt. And if you read online the comments, people are truly celebrating him because he also just seems like a very nice person. And even his crew chief, Chad Walters, was saying that because of Rajah, he also just has, again, a little bit more passion and excitement, and he wants to put in the extra work for Rajah because he believes in him and kind of got swept up in his passion and love for racing yet again. All right, folks, this is all I have for you guys about Rajah Caruth. I think he sounds like not just a great person, but also an incredible driver coming from sim racing, now on the track. I'm definitely excited to keep following his career. If you've been following our channel, you know this is our very first season of NASCAR that we're following. So I'm definitely excited that I have now somebody very specific to keep an eye on for the next coming races as well as years. I also do want to make a couple more driver profiles about different NASCAR drivers. So if you have somebody in mind, either your favorite driver or somebody you think I definitely need to know more about, please let me know in the comments below so I can look into them. And then with that, I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye.